Hello there, let's have a look at the overall energy of this week. On the 23rd we had the first new moon in Leo, so we're moving into the star sign of Leo. And so the overall energy of this week, because we're moving into Leo, probably gives us a great idea about what August will be like. But we're not there yet, so we're looking at the week ahead. So let's have a look at the overall energy. I'm just going to use a card. And as usual, I use spirit animal guide cards and or shamanic symbolism cards. And let's just see which ones we have. I'm going to take 3 cards out. Okay. All right. Okay. This is going to be a very interesting week because you have the totem, the crow, and the crocodile. And it's not going to fit for everybody, but it will fit for a lot of people because this week it's really important to make sure that you make peace, in inverted brackets, with your family, with the family you were born into. And making peace sometimes means that things do not work and can't be fixed, and it's about acknowledging what is and what isn't, because you have the totem card, which it's basically guardianship, but it also means family, but it doesn't mean tribe, it just means the family that you were born into, so it's sort of flesh and blood family. Then you have the crow and the crocodile, and I will explain this to you right now. So the idea is that you have the crow, which is the animal of change and transformation. And that means that things between you and your family very likely have become a little bit stale, and not everybody in this family grows at the same time, and you are going through changes. You are not the same person you were 5 years ago, and it's time that people grew with you and acknowledge that you are a different person. So this week it's really important to stop having people bring up the past, because you're not going that way and you're not that person anymore. Because how can you grow if someone reduces you to what you were 10 years ago, for instance? And it's important in that context to look at the crocodile. Right? The crocodile is one of those animals that has been on this planet for a long time and never really had to change, which means it's really perfect. So evolution is a very slow thing for the crocodile. And what it really means is there's just nothing wrong with you. And if people from your family, think you need to change, maybe they need to change too. So it's important to just understand, this is who I am, this is what's happening here. And remember, when you speak to family members this week, try not to have arguments. The reason why the crocodile is really revered is not because of its strengths. It's because it can take up to 10 youngs of his young into the pouches of his mouth and bring them to safety. So they're quite gentle creatures, really. It just doesn't do any, it just doesn't give people any ratings. So usually when you see them on film and stuff, they look quite ferocious. When in fact, even though they are predators, they're quite gentle creatures. And so you have to, this week, remember your strengths. That's one thing with the crocodile. You are strong. Remember your strengths, but also remember you have to be gentle. So don't get into heated arguments, because they're just not going to work. Right. So that's the overall energy with the main focus on flesh and blood people that are sort of your family. Okay. So that's that. And now we're moving into the star signs, starting with Leo, because we're moving into Leo. Let me just shuffle the card. Card falls out, it wants to be read. And let's look at the week ahead for the Leo. Okay, in order for you this week to get peace of mind, as it were, is you need to be able to speak your truth, but with a little bit of cheek, tongue in cheek. So this is a week where you can't be confrontational, shouldn't be confrontational with people. If you have to say something, say it with humor. It's really, really important. But also stand tall, because you have the divine rogue and the deer. And every time you have an animal with antlers, you're quite protected, so you can actually speak your truth. But when you have a thing like the divine rogue, it just means that you have you can have a bit of tongue in cheek with things, and say exactly what you meant and what you mean to say. But say it lighthearted. Don't say it aggressively. So that's just the Leo, and we're moving on now to Virgo. Virgo. Okay, for the Virgo people, is the most important thing this week is to remember how important you are. Make sure that nobody walks all over you this week. Don't have people, don't allow people to lower your energy, you know, keep you small, talk down on you, this kind of thing. Make sure to remember this week that you are a full person and you have the right to be treated as such. And just remember this, you are important and you make a difference just as anybody else is making a difference. So don't allow anybody to dim your light this week. Okay, so that's for the Virgo people. And then we are going into Libra, drawn to a different deck, which is a shamanic symbolism deck. Let's see what we got. Okay, for the Virgo people, we have the Shaman of Stars. And what that means is that this is a perfect week for a meditation.
Libra?
Sorry, what did I say?
You said Virgo.
Oh, sorry. There you go. Libra, for the Libra people. Sorry. For the Libra people, you have the Shaman of Stars. So this is a perfect week to do meditation and talk to your guides, talk to your elders, talk to your ancestors, so to speak. And remember that you are from the stars. So this is a perfect week. If you can this week go on a retreat, for instance, with meditation and journeying, that's perfect for you. You really need to be in a spiritual mindset this week. So that's the message for the Libra. Going into Scorpio right now. Again, I'm drawn to a different set, different deck. And I'm drawn to 2 cards. So you have the Multi and the Turtle. So what that means that this week you can go easy on your own situation. Don't rush anything. It's important not to rush anything this week. Really, really important not to rush anything this week. The Multi is quite a heavy animal, but the way its hooves are designed is when you stand on soil, or when it stands on soil that is soft, it doesn't sink in. And what that means is, even though you might carry a heavy burden, you will just be fine as long as you don't rush anything. This is not the week to force any solutions to a problem. This is more the week to say, okay, I go easy on this, and it will happen or it won't happen. But at least I'm not rushing anything. So this week, remember not to be forceful. It's really important. Okay, so that's the Scorpios going into Sagittarius now. Card falls out. And I need another one. Drawn to having one more card. Oh, animal deities, and we get another card. Horse. So here we have the guard, all animal deities, and the horse. It's important this week for the Sagittarius people. This week you got to have a plan. Plan this week. Anything you want to do this week. Don't just be, oh yeah, let's do this, right? There's nothing wrong with being spontaneous, really. But this week you should really plan your next move, right? Plan things out. You know, if you have a night out with someone, you know, it would be a good week for you to probably order the table and for you to pick the restaurant. You know, this week you really need to have this control is the wrong word, but you need to be in charge this week of the things that are really happening to you. You're surrounded by your guides, and that means that there will be issues coming up as you go about your week. And you have the horse, and the idea about the horse always is, you know, freedom and space. So you need to give yourself some space. And you give yourself some space this week by not retreating, but if you prepare for situations, you are much more confident in them, right? So that's the Sagittarius going into Capricorn now, and I'm drawn to this deck here. Capricorn people, you got the arrow, which means it is important, no matter what it is you're doing right now. Keep going. You're not at the end of this yet. This isn't, whatever it is, it's not quite, you're not quite there yet. Even if you said, you know, oh, I had to have a great week and finally I got what I wanted, then now is the time to push for what you want to do with it, if that makes sense. So don't rest on your laurels this week, and whatever it is that you need to push through, push through. So that's the main message for the Capricorn. Going into Aquarius, and the frog. So this week you have to look at yourself. This is your week to reflect on who am I at this point in time. Am I going where I want to go? Am I in fact where I think I should be at this point in time? Is there anything that doesn't quite work for you this week? It's perfect to just stop rather than to say like, oh, I don't know where I am. Don't get panicky about things. Just go like, hang on a second. Let me be reflective. Let's see, whatever I do in life, does it give me joy? And if the answer is no, then you have to really rethink how you work. You have the frog, which is an amphibian, can live on land and water. It just means that you adapt very well to new beginnings and new situations. So should you find yourself thinking, this isn't really working for me, then really acknowledge this week. But also remember, if this isn't for you, then you deserve a different setting or a new beginning as such. So don't go into panic mode. Just go like, I get this. This really isn't for me. And remember that you will adapt to whatever life throws at you. So if you say like, maybe I should be doing something else, and then progress on that thought, you will get a lot of answers and help, right? So that was the Aquarius going into Pisces. Like I said, I say it every week, being a Pisces myself, always very interested to see what's up. For me, a card fell out here. It was the Ancestor of Boundaries and the Dancer of Fear. Okay, very strange words, really. For the Pisces people this week, remember we're moving into the star sign of Leo, which can be quite a heavy feeling at times. So this week it's important, therefore, you have boundaries. And boundaries with people you have known for a long time are really important. People that you are close to, they can sometimes take up the most of your time because you allow them to. And so this week is a week where you need boundaries, especially with people that have been in your life for a long time. And don't fear, that's the sense of fear, don't worry about how they take it. If the people want to misunderstand you, let them. This is the week where you say like, tonight I just don't feel like going out. Tonight I just don't feel like talking to you on the phone for 2 hours about the issues of your life. I need me time. Perfectly fine this week for Pisces. That doesn't mean you close your door. It just means that this is your week for me time. Really, really important. Going into Aries. And I feel I should be mixing decks here. Okay. You have the Spirit of Wisdom and Rabbit. In short, that means that your soul already knows where you want to go and what you want to do. And the rabbit is saying, you have no idea how deep the rabbit hole goes. So stopping now would be wrong. If you say, I give you an example, if you say, I think I should be doing this, X, Y, and Z, but I'm not sure if it works. Well, you can't be sure unless you've tried. And so this week it's saying, if this is what I'm drawn to, let me explore it. I go there with the best of intention, with the highest of intention, and with the full belief that what I'm doing is just and is right, and you just have got to keep going to do all this. So that's Aries going into Taurus. Another rabbit, and the screech owl. So it's quite similar with the rabbit, understanding that you haven't explored everything there is to explore. But the screech owl, being about having good eyesight and being quite clever, to sort of use a cliche here, is, keep on going only if it makes sense to you already. So this week for the Tauruses, don't start something new. Just see if where you are going and what you are doing still fulfills you, and then renew that. If not, sit this week out, if that makes sense, and just see how you feel about it next week if you want to make changes. This is not the week for big changes. This is more the week to say, I need to get the joy back into what I do. Or if it brings you joy what you do more of it. If that makes sense, right? So that's for the Taurus. Moving into Gemini. Okay, for the Gemini this week, it's important to be vigilant. Look around you. See who is saying what, what's happening around you, who is causing issues here, who is causing trouble, who doesn't quite fit, what situation are you finding yourself in that doesn't make you feel at ease. So this week, be quiet in a way, sort of, don't have any arguments, nothing forceful this week. Really important. Just really have a look around you to assess the people and the situations you're with. And because you have the deer, you have to do this all from a detached point of view. There's a very easy way to detach yourself. You're in a situation, let's just say there are 5 or 6 people and they all talk, and you are talking at the same time. Just step backwards a little bit. If you do this, you tell yourself, I want to be elevated. And you can talk with people and still see, while you're engaging with people, who is causing what here? Am I just answering? Are my buttons being pushed? Am I just answering to someone? And are they listening to respond? Or are they listening to misunderstand me? Or to listen even. So this week is about being passive, if that makes sense. But at the same time, assess your surroundings. And then if you find yourself with people or places or situations where you feel like doesn't make me happy anymore, then it's the time to say like, okay, this will have to come to an end, right? So that was the Gemini, and finally we're going to Cancer. And I'm drawn to this deck very much. And we have the Chipmunk and the Panther. Quite interesting as a constellation, or as a partnership here. The chipmunk is an animal that on this little card here sits on a piece of wood, and a piece of wood just like this here. In some shamanic exercises we use wood, and this piece of wood could represent the mother soul of all animals, and then you can put that down and talk to your animal guides, right? But we're not going there. I just wanted to show you that how important wood is as a symbolic force. So this chipmunk sits on a tree, which means he has an elevated point of view. So again, it's about looking for the Cancerians this week. Look what's going on around you. And the panther is to not hide. See, the panther in essence is actually a leopard. And so there's a leopard inside this dark fur, which doesn't allow him really to hide well in nature. So hiding this week, hiding your true emotions, doesn't necessarily mean that you're safe. So this week it's really important. Look at the life. What's going on here. And because this is the last star sign today, the Cancerians, you probably noticed as you listen to this video how much this week for many star signs is about reflection, and say like, well, let's be reflective of things. Let's just see what's really going on, and observation. And you are at your best when you observe quietly. There's something about not doing anything other than observing that makes observing much more meaningful. So this week is, remember, observe, but don't hide your true feelings. Speak your mind. Because you have the panther as an analogy, you wouldn't mess with one. So you don't really have to be loud or violent. When you speak your truth, remember, truth needs no defense, so speak it. But remember to observe first, to see if it makes sense to actually say something about something that probably cannot be fixed, right? And that's all we have time for this week. See you soon. Bye-bye.